Have you spent pretty much your whole life being told you feel things, well, a little too deeply? That you just need to toughen up? Yeah. Well, today we're going to take that idea and completely flip it on its head. Let's dive into the science that shows what you have isn't some kind of flaw. It's actually a high-performance feature.
That phrase, "you're too sensitive." You've probably heard it a million times, right? From family, from friends, maybe even from that voice inside your own head. It's been the catch-all excuse for your tears, your need for quiet, your tendency to pause and think. And I bet you've spent years feeling like you had to apologize for it.
But hang on, let's try a different angle here. What if that label, the one that has always felt like a sting, like a criticism, what if it's not an insult at all? What if it's actually just a description of some very specific and pretty powerful biological hardware you've got running?
So let's just forget the term highly sensitive person. I've got a better name for you. You are a super sensor. And that diagnosis you've been carrying around your whole life, it's just wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are not weak. This, right here, is the real story of how your amazing brain works.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of this, the nuts and bolts, because this isn't just some personality quirk we're talking about. It's straight up biology. We're going to look at the neuroscience that proves your sensitivity is basically a high-performance radar system.
So, here's a way to think about it. Most brains out there, we're talking about 80% of the population, they're kind of like a camera, recording the world in standard definition. You know, it's efficient, it gets the basic picture. But your brain? Oh no. Your brain is recording in glorious 8K resolution. It captures everything.
And this whole 8K experience, it comes from 3 very specific upgrades in your neural hardware. We're going to break each one down. First, a really unique data filter, or lack thereof. Second, some supercharged empathy neurons. And third, a profoundly deep style of processing. Let's start with that data filter.
Okay, so your brain is basically missing a standard filter. Neuroscientists have a term for this: low latent inhibition. Now, while most brains are busy automatically ignoring 90% of what's coming in just to save energy, you know, the background noise, your brain goes, nope, it's all relevant. The hum of the fluorescent lights, the scratchy tag on your shirt, that tiny shift in someone's tone of voice, it all gets through. And yeah, this is why you get overwhelmed. But it's also your secret weapon. It's why you notice the details, the subtle patterns, and the brilliant solutions that everyone else just walks right past.
Now, for that second upgrade, it's all about your mirror neurons. These are the empathy centers of your brain. And yours, they're basically hyperactive. This means you don't just understand that your friend is sad, you literally physically feel their sadness in your own body. Your brain simulates their emotional state. It's why you can feel like an emotional sponge in a world that is, let's face it, full of emotional spills.
And that brings us to maybe the most misunderstood feature of all, your depth of processing. You might feel like you're a bit slower to make a decision or to jump into a conversation. Maybe you even beat yourself up for overthinking everything. But listen to me, you are not slow, you are thorough. While other people are just reacting to the surface, your brain is running this incredibly complex simulation, connecting what's happening right now to past memories, future possibilities, everything. That's not a bug, that is some serious high-level computation.
So, right about now, you might be thinking, okay, fine, that's how my brain works, but why? I mean, if this whole setup makes modern life so intense, why would evolution even keep this trait around? Well, let's talk about your ancient and incredibly vital purpose.
And that is a totally fair question. Seriously, if being this sensitive was truly a weakness, a disadvantage, natural selection would have weeded it out thousands of years ago. But it didn't. The very fact that super sensors like you still exist is proof that this trait provides a massive evolutionary advantage.
The answer, it turns out, is all about balance. Think about an ancient tribe. It absolutely needed the warriors. You know, the bold, risk-taking majority who are essential for hunting and defending. But a tribe full of only warriors, they die out pretty quick, rushing headfirst into every danger without a plan. The tribe also needed you, the royal advisor. You were the one who could sense the subtle change in the wind that meant a storm was coming, who noticed the flicker of deception in the eyes of a visitor from another tribe. Your sensitivity wasn't a problem. It was the tribe's early warning system.
So if you were so essential back then, why does it feel so hard to just exist today? To figure that out, we need a kind of user manual for how to navigate the modern world as a super sensor.
Here's the thing. Our modern world, so loud, so fast, so aggressive, it's pretty much a society built for the warriors. It rewards quick action over deep thought. So if you feel out of place, it's not because you're broken. It's because the environment wasn't designed for your particular hardware. But don't ever mistake feeling out of place for being without value.
Science actually has this beautiful metaphor for this. Most people are kind of like dandelions. They're resilient, right? They can grow just about anywhere. A beautiful garden, a crack in the sidewalk, they're going to be fine no matter what. But you're an orchid. And this isn't just some poetic idea, okay? It's a real scientific principle called vantage sensitivity. And what it says is that people with your sensitive traits, the orchids, will definitely struggle more than others in a harsh, unsupportive environment. But, and this is the absolute key, in the right environment, you don't just survive, you thrive. You actually surpass everyone else.
So in poor soil, let's say a stressful, negative environment, the dandelion does okay. It hangs in there. But the orchid, it withers. But just look what happens when we move them to good soil, a supportive, nurturing place. The dandelion still does, okay, but the orchid's outcome just skyrockets. It blooms with a complexity and a beauty that the dandelion could never, ever achieve.
And this right here is probably the most important thing to take away from our whole explainer today. For years, you've probably blamed yourself for not being more like a dandelion. But the solution isn't to change who you are. The solution is to change your environment. You don't need to toughen up to survive on the sidewalk. You need to move yourself into the greenhouse.
So how do we do that? How do we actually protect this incredible gift and start building that greenhouse for ourselves? Well, here is a clear, actionable prescription for every super sensor listening right now.
Okay, first things first. Stop trying to install a tougher filter. You can't change your basic biology, and honestly, you shouldn't want to. Second, build your boundaries. They are your best defense to protect your energy. Third, honor your need for silence and downtime. It's not you being dramatic, it's your system needing to reboot. And finally, actively curate your life, your friends, your job, your home to create that personal, supportive greenhouse where you can truly, finally bloom.
So the next time someone tells you that you are too sensitive, or even when you start to tell yourself that, I want you to just take a deep breath, maybe smile a little, and remember the truth. You don't have a defect. You are not a mistake. You're not seeing things wrong. You're just seeing them in 8K. And in a world that's getting more and more disconnected, your ability to truly see and to truly feel, well, that isn't a burden. It's a superpower.